It's kind of an interesting chat this morning before I head out for our practice competition this weekend. A couple of things happening. What to keep in mind, the human condition. This is something that's hardwired into us all, and it's been around for years and years and years. The competition factor that each and every one of us has, whether we're aware of it or not. This goes back to an old hairdresser that I used to go to, and he used to tell me that most women go to him to get their hair cut and styled because they trust him to make them look as beautiful as they could be, right? And I said, how do you mean? And he says, well, if a woman goes to another woman to get their hair done, they've always got that doubt that, oh, do I want to make her more beautiful than me, myself? So that's why he tended to get more female clients going to him than male. And he said that's been happening and more noticeable to him. This was just at the start of social media, right? So we're going way back here into like the 80s, into the 90s. Social media as such, and selfies and all that kind of stuff was just kind of happening. And he'd even noticed it back then, right? Now, if you speak to a lot of blokes, they'll say, oh, I'll always get a better haircut off the girl that I go to. She just cuts my hair and she always cuts it better than the bloke. Now, swings and roundabouts, that could be the same thing I'm on about here. But keep that related to your golf, right? I think what's gone wrong in golf over the last 20, 30 years with instruction has been the link between like you getting better and becoming a winner against the people who want to hold you back, the pros, the top amateurs. No one likes to get beat. Now, I'm not saying this is the case in every single scenario, but it's human nature that a lot of people will kind of, for want of a better word, not tell you everything, right? Will always hold something back. Theory being that they are the master, or they have the ultimate control because they're not telling you or passing on everything, right? Because they want repeat business. So, you know, if they gave you everything, then maybe you would stop going to them, or you would leave. And their business model is repeat business and obviously building up a client base. So they've got to be somewhere in between that, because if they don't have word of mouth and a good social media and a good aspect around golf, then it won't attract new people in, and eventually they won't have a business because no one's going to them. So there's a happy medium there that they've got to strike. But you can see where the psychology part of this all comes in. And in golf, like so many other sports, some people just can't handle it when others do well. You see players falling out with other players, having Barneys, and you know, the classic just now is, and has been for a while, is Brooks and DeChambeau. But years and years back, it was the same. There was always argy-bargy between players. Nick Faldo, oof, wow. You mean Sir Nick, as he is now, but at the time, he might have been #1 player golfer in the world and winning majors, but he was up there with like the most unlikable or unliked player on tour. Not through really anything that he'd done, just because he seemed to be so aloof or unapproachable or well guarded, and players just found that hard work and they wanted to beat him, but he'd worked hard to get there. So people misunderstand what you're all about, and you get this persona or perceived thing about you, and it's all wrong. And I don't think the media, especially now, do anything to help that, because all the media do, if you look at the media in general on every subject, they look for the clickbait headline, the clickbait story, but gone is investigative journalism. They don't dig deep into the story and find the background and find out why. They just give you the headline and they look for the sell, but they don't dig into the information and go into the details and actually produce the reasons behind it, and maybe in their dig for the truth come up with a solution or a way to make things better. They used to do that way back in the day when there was printed news stories, and the only news source you had was the 9 o'clock news. There used to be more of that, even going back to like the original war correspondents and people who exposed the horrific sort of stuff that was going on in places that you had no knowledge of. They dug deep and they went in and got these stories, risking their lives. You don't even see much of that now. And again, what is it? Is it a combination of social media overtaking actual media and making information seem easier to obtain? But on the whole information media around social media is driven by an algorithm that pushes the stuff that you constantly seem to be interested in, thereby pigeonholing you into a false sense of security and maybe never ever exploring other avenues, which is where you can all get suckered in and lose your way. Especially now with modern social media, because if you just click on it and take it for granted without doing any second looking or checking or fact checking, then you can build up some sort of picture that's completely false. It's a made up reality. It's not actual reality, if you know what I mean. And this applies to everything. But I think now is the time to give yourself a wee wake up and a knock and say, look, every now and again, I just can't take things for granted. I've got to fact check it and make my own mind up through another source, another couple of sources, so that I can actually say, yeah, I can see where that's coming from. Case in point, this is just golf related. The Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka thing's been going for long enough, and it was all you know, Ryder Cup hype. Then it was like, oh yeah, but DeChambeau's just really interested in this World Long Drive competition. And at the back of all this rivalry, there's a bonus program on the PGA Tour for players to hype up the game and maintain traction and interest. Right, it's a major bonus program, talking millions of dollars. And now, end of the season, we've now got a televised grudge match for money between Brooks Koepka and DeChambeau, and it's endorsed apparently by the PGA of America. Now, I might have got that wrong, but I've read stories, and this is me saying that I've read stories on social media, on Facebook, saying it's PGA approved. So if anybody from the PGA of America is watching this video and you've seen me talking about it, then you can put the truth out in the comments section below if I've got this wrong. But those guys are getting paid a lot of money to do what I would term, if you would believe the truth as that they've been baited, or they've decided to hype each other up like a pair of boxers for a prize fight. It's all staged and manipulated to get the audience hyped so that you sell major tickets, and the television audience grows exponentially. Therefore, you can manufacture and create huge revenue through advertising and sponsorship. Call me cynical if you like. But anyway, that's been a quick brief chat for nearly 12 minutes. But it's like the X-Files. The truth is out there. And I know you could argue on this point that, well, look, you shouldn't have to go digging for the truth. But in this day and age, don't go about blinkered and just accepting the truth.